The ion storm cleared like a curtain being drawn aside, revealing what humanity's deep space exploration vessel Horizon had detected on their long-range scanners. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge viewport, her breath catching at the sight before her. Dozens of massive warships hung motionless against the backdrop of stars, their angular hulls scarred and pitted by ancient battles. Preliminary scan complete, Captain. Lieutenant Park reported from his station. No life signs, no power signatures. These ships appear to have been here for at least 50,000 years. Sarah nodded, her eyes tracing the elegant but deadly lines of the nearest vessel. Even after millennia of drift, there was something haunting about their presence. What's the structural integrity like? Remarkably intact, ma'am. Whatever these ships are made of, it's more durable than anything we've encountered. Even the Galactic Council's best alloys don't compare. That gave Sarah pause. In the 20 years since humanity had joined the greater galactic community, they'd often been dismissed as newcomers, barely worth notice. The Council races had tens of thousands of years of spacefaring history between them. They treated Earth's rapid technological advancement with mixture of amusement and disdain. "Download everything we can," she ordered, "and get me a secure channel to Earth Command. They need to see this." Within hours, the Horizon's discovery sparked intense debate among Earth's leadership. The derelict fleet represented technology far beyond current galactic standards. More importantly, something had defeated these advanced ships, leaving them as silent monuments to a forgotten war. The Council, predictably, was less impressed when Earth's representatives brought the discovery to their attention. Another primitive species abandoned toys. Supreme Counselor Vextor dismissed, his crystalline form shimming with barely concealed amusement. "Your species' fascination with relics is charming, but hardly relevant to modern galactic affairs." With respect, Counselor, Earth's Ambassador Thomas Reed countered, "These ships show signs of weapons technology we can't even comprehend. Whatever fought them is long dead, like all species that fail to advance." Vextor interrupted. "The galaxy's history is littered with the remains of civilizations that couldn't survive. We have moved beyond such concerns." Thomas tried again. "The preliminary data suggests these ships were technically superior to current Council vessels. Shouldn't we at least investigate what destroyed them?" Laughter rippled through the Council chamber. "Superior? To us?" Vextor's crystalline surface fractured into patterns of dismissive mirth. "Perhaps you should focus on catching up to current technology before making such bold claims about ancient wreckage." The debate ended there, but humanity's concern did not. Over the next 6 months, Earth quietly dispatched research teams to study the derelict fleet. The ship's design suggested they were built for war on a scale beyond anything the current Council races could imagine. Deep in the vessel's computer cores, partially preserved records painted a chilling picture. The fleet had belonged to a species called the Predecessor, who had fought desperately against something they called only the Hunger. The final logs were fragmented, but clear enough. They had failed to stop it. Sarah Chen, now promoted to oversee the research effort, stood in the vast bridge of the largest derelict. Engineers in powered armor carefully extracted damaged components, preparing to replace them with hybrid systems, combining Council tech with humanity's unique innovations. "They're still not taking us seriously," her executive officer commented, reviewing the latest dismissive Council report. "Good," Sarah replied, watching as another section of the ancient ship stirred to life under human restoration. "Let them laugh. We'll be ready when whatever killed these ships returns. Because it will return." A junior technician rushed up, tablet extended. "Captain, we've decoded more of the Predecessor language. You need to see this." Sarah took the tablet, her expression growing grave as she read. The final message was clear now. It cannot be stopped. It cannot be reasoned with. It comes in waves, consuming all it touches. We die knowing we failed to halt its advance. To any who find this, prepare. It will return. It always returns. "Double the restoration crews," Sarah ordered. And get me Earth Command. We need to accelerate the timeline. As she strode through the awakening ship, Sarah reflected on humanity's position in the galaxy. The Council races saw them as upstart primitives, barely worth notice. But humanity had something they lacked: the ability to recognize and learn from history's warnings. The ancient fleet would fly again. And this time, with humanity at the helm, the outcome would be different. It had to be. In the depths of space, the derelict ships gradually stirred from their 50,000-year slumber. Their hulls, once dark and lifeless, began to pulse with new energy as human engineers woke them section by section. The Council races continued their dismissive laughter, unaware that humanity was preparing for a war they couldn't yet imagine. And somewhere in the vast darkness between galaxies, something stirred, its endless hunger drawing it back toward the worlds it had failed to devour so long ago. This time, it would find humanity waiting, armed with the very weapons that had once failed to stop it. The real question was, would it be enough? The ancient warship's reactor core pulsed with renewed life, its deep blue glow reflecting off Chief Engineer Maya Rodriguez's faceplate as she monitored the power readings. 8 months of painstaking work had led to this moment, the first full power test of a restored predecessor vessel. Power curve holding steady at 30%, Maya reported, her voice tense with concentration. No signs of containment instability. Whatever these ships run on, it's like nothing we've ever seen. In the restored bridge above, Sarah Chen watched multiple holographic displays tracking the test's progress. The ship, designated Phoenix 1, was responding better than anyone had dared hope. Humanity's hybrid technology had merged seamlessly with the ancient systems, creating something entirely new. Message from the Council observation post, her communications officer announced. They're asking about the energy signature they've detected. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Send them our prepared response. Just routine testing of salvage technology. Nothing to concern themselves with. The Council's dismissal of humanity's warnings had proven useful. Their arrogance meant they paid little attention to Earth's activities around the derelict fleet. They saw only primitives playing with ancient ruins, not worth serious consideration. But the truth was far different. As Phoenix 1's systems came online, the ship's vast data stores were becoming accessible. The predecessor's records painted an increasingly terrifying picture of their ancient enemy. Captain, her science officer called out, "You need to see this. We've decoded another section of their tactical database." The holographic display shifted, showing recordings from the final battles. Entire worlds vanished in the wake of the Hunger's advance. It wasn't just a military force. It was an all-consuming wave of destruction that broke down matter at the molecular level, absorbing everything in its path to fuel its endless expansion. The predecessors had fought back with weapons that could shatter planets and redirect the energy of stars. And still, they had failed. But they hadn't failed completely. They'd learned. And now humanity had inherited that knowledge. New contact. The sensor officer's cry cut through her thoughts. Multiple signatures at the edge of the system. Sarah's heart raced, but the signatures resolved into a Council patrol fleet, standard showing of force, reminding the primitives of their place in the galactic order. The patrol commander's transmission dripped with condescension. "Earth vessels, this is Commander Zixtal. Your energy experiments are causing concern among civilized species. Perhaps you should leave such matters to more advanced races." Sarah's response was diplomatic, but inside she seethed. The Council's willful blindness could doom them all. Recent long-range scans had detected disturbing anomalies in distant galaxy sectors. The patterns matched the predecessor's descriptions of the Hunger's early signs. In her private quarters later, Sarah reviewed the latest reports from Earth's other restoration sites. 12 more ships were nearing operational status. The hybrid technology was evolving rapidly, combining human innovation with predecessor power. They were creating something unprecedented, a fighting force that merged the best of past and present. Her tablet chimed with an urgent message from Maya. The engineer's face appeared, excited but concerned. "Captain, we found something in the ship's secondary systems. Some kind of quantum entanglement network linking all the vessels. It's still active after 50,000 years." Sarah sat forward. "What does that mean for us?" "It means these ships were designed to fight as one. A single coordinated force connected faster than light itself. And," Maya hesitated, "we think we can interface with it. Not just restore these ships, but improve them." The implications were staggering, but time was running out. The latest astronomical data showed the anomalies were spreading, following the same pattern the predecessors had documented. The hunger was awakening. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. A junior officer entered, bearing a message from Earth Command. The Council had called an emergency session. Several outlying worlds had gone dark. All communication suddenly ceased. Sarah felt a chill. It was starting, just as the predecessors had warned. But this time would be different. Humanity had spent months preparing while the Council laughed. Now that preparation would be tested. "Begin final activation sequences on all restored vessels," she ordered through the ship's comm. "And get me Earth Command. It's time to show the Council exactly what primitives can do with ancient ruins." As she ended the transmission, Phoenix One's hybrid systems hummed with power. Throughout the vessel, predecessor technology merged with human innovation, stirred to full life. The ship was more than restored. It was reborn. And not a moment too soon. The hunger was returning. And this time, humanity would be ready to face it. The only question was whether the Council would swallow their pride in time to join the fight, or if their arrogance would be their undoing. The ancient warships, once dead in space, now pulsed with new purpose. Humanity had done more than restore them. They had evolved them. Soon, the galaxy would understand why the predecessors had built these vessels, and why humanity alone had seen their true value. The war that had ended 50,000 years ago was about to begin again. But this time, the outcome would be different. It had to be. The Galactic Council's emergency session erupted into chaos as the holographic displays showed another world going dark. 7 planets in 2 weeks, each falling silent without a distress call. The Council race's carefully maintained order was crumbling. "The Meridian colony is gone," Supreme Counselor Vextor announced, his crystalline form clouded with distress. 3 million citizens just vanished. Our sensors show only molecular debris where the planet's surface used to be. Sarah Chen stood at the back of the chamber, Earth's delegation deliberately positioned to observe. She watched the panic spread through the assembled representatives, remembering the predecessors' records. This was exactly how it had begun 50,000 years ago. Her neural implant chimed with an encrypted message from Maya. "Phoenix fleet ready for deployment. All 16 vessels showing green across all systems." Sarah's subtle hand gesture acknowledged the message. Humanity's restored fleet waited in hiding, powered down to avoid detection. The Council still didn't know the true extent of Earth's preparations. They were about to find out. The collective demands action. The insectoid hive speaker's translator broadcast its agitation. "Send the combined fleet. These attacks cannot go unanswered." The Council's mighty combined fleet, over 300 warships representing the most advanced technology of a dozen species. Under normal circumstances, it would be an overwhelming force. But these weren't normal circumstances. The chamber's main display flared with a new alert. The hunger had been spotted, finally captured on long-range sensors. The image brought absolute silence to the panicked room. It was a wave of darkness that defied natural law, a shifting mass that consumed light itself. Behind it trailed the broken remnants of worlds and ships, being broken down and absorbed even as they watched. The combined fleet would be sailing to its death. Sarah stepped forward. "Honorable Council, Earth has something to contribute to this discussion." Vextor's dismissive wave was automatic, ingrained by decades of treating humans as barely relevant primitives. "This is hardly the time for." His words cut off as new signatures appeared on the tactical display. 16 massive vessels, larger than anything in the combined fleet, powered up from their hidden positions. The predecessor ships, restored and enhanced, taking formation with human crews at their helms. What is the meaning of this? Vextor's crystal surface fractured with shock. Those ships, impossible. Not impossible, Sarah corrected, just requiring a different perspective, one that values history's lessons over pride. We spent months warning you about the threat these ships were built to fight. Now that threat has returned. The council chamber erupted again, but this time with questions rather than panic. Sarah's neural implant projected tactical data as she explained humanity's preparations. The restored fleet's capabilities stunned the assembly into silence. The predecessor ships are more powerful than anything currently in service, she continued. But more importantly, they were specifically designed to combat the hunger. We've spent months studying their records, learning their tactics, and improving upon their technology. A new alert cut through the chamber. The hunger had changed course. It was heading directly for a heavily populated council core world. Billions of lives in its path. We can evacuate, Vextor began, but Sarah shook her head. No time, but we do have another option. She opened a channel to the Phoenix fleet. All ships, Battle Formation Alpha. We're about to test everything we've prepared for. The 16 restored warships moved with impossible grace, their quantum-linked systems allowing them to function as a single organism. Human innovation had improved the predecessor's technology, adding adaptability and creativity to raw power. Council races with compatible crews are welcome to join us, Sarah offered. We've prepared training protocols. But understand, this isn't a battle for pride or politics. We're fighting for survival. The hunger approached, its unfathomable mass distorting space itself. But this time, it wouldn't find helpless prey. This time, humanity stood ready with the very weapons that had nearly stopped it before. Sarah took her position on Phoenix One's bridge, the restored command systems responding to her neural interface. Around her, human crew members merged with hybrid technology, their minds linked through the quantum network that connected the fleet. All ships, power to full, she ordered. Humanity didn't restore this fleet to let history repeat itself. We're about to show the galaxy why the predecessors built these ships, and why we were right to bring them back to life. The Phoenix fleet moved to intercept the approaching darkness, their enhanced weapons charging. The Council's combined fleet, after a moment's hesitation, formed up behind them. Pride was finally giving way to survival. The first battle of a war 50,000 years in the making was about to begin. And humanity, the upstart primitives, would be leading the charge. Because they had done what the Council races wouldn't. They had learned from the past. The hunger was about to discover that its ancient prey had new guardians, and these guardians had spent months preparing for exactly this moment. The first battle against the hunger defied conventional physics. Phoenix One's sensors struggled to translate the conflict into comprehensible data as reality itself seemed to warp around the point of contact. Energy dispersal at 80%. Maya's voice cut through the chaos of battle. The hybrid shields are holding better than predicted. Sarah watched as the restored fleet's weapons tore into the darkness. The predecessor ship's main guns fired streams of concentrated quantum energy, disrupting the hunger's molecular breakdown effect. Humanity's modifications had improved the weapon's efficiency by 30%, but the enemy was adapting. Pattern shift detected. The tactical officer reported. It's learning our attack sequences. Then we'll have to learn faster, Sarah responded. Through her neural interface, she felt the quantum connection linking the 16 ships' pulse with new information. Human minds, more flexible and creative than the original predecessor AI systems, adjusted tactics in real time. The Council's combined fleet held back, their weapons proving largely ineffective against the entity. But they weren't useless. Their sensors gathered crucial data about the hunger's behavior and composition. Captain, Maya's voice carried an edge of excitement despite the battle. I'm detecting something in the hunger's core mass. It's similar to the quantum signature of our ship's entanglement network. Sarah's mind raced with the implications. Cross-reference with the predecessor records. Did they know about this? The answer came from an unexpected source. A transmission cut through the battle noise, originating from deep within the Hunger itself. The message was fragmented, encoded in the same quantum patterns as the predecessor ship's communications. We survive. Trapped. Help. The revelation hit Sarah like a physical blow. All ships adjust attack pattern. Target everything except the central mass. The Hunger, it's not just consuming the predecessor's worlds. It's got them trapped inside it. Through the quantum network, she felt her crew's shock ripple across the fleet. The predecessor civilization wasn't completely destroyed. Some had been absorbed, preserved in a state between existence and void. Their consciousness trapped in the very force they'd fought against. Council vessels, Sarah broadcast on all frequencies. We need your scientists. The Hunger isn't just an enemy, it's a prison. And we might be able to break it open. The next hours were a blur of desperate combat and frantic analysis. The Phoenix fleet held the Hunger at bay while Council scientists worked with human engineers to understand the quantum signatures. Maya led the research effort, her expertise with the hybrid systems proving crucial. It's like a quantum computer gone wrong, she explained during a brief lull. The Hunger is some kind of self-propagating breakdown field, but it preserves information as it consumes matter. The predecessors are still in there, their consciousness encoded in quantum states. Can we get them out? Sarah asked, watching as another tendril of darkness probed their defenses. Maybe, but we'll need help. Maya's eyes lit up with an idea. The Council races, each one has different technological specialties. If we combine their knowledge with our hybrid systems. Sarah nodded, already broadcasting to the combined fleet. All vessels, new operational protocol. We're going to teach you how to interface with predecessor tech. Not just to fight, to save them. The Council races, having witnessed the effectiveness of human-restored ships, were quick to accept. Training began even as the battle continued, with crews learning to operate hybrid systems installed on their vessels. The Hunger seemed to sense the change in strategy. Its attacks became more focused, more desperate. But it was too late. The combined forces of past and present were finally working as one, and they had found its weakness. All ships, prepare for synchronized quantum burst, Sarah ordered. Target the primary containment signatures. We're not just fighting this thing. We're going to break its hold on the predecessors. The restored fleet, now joined by modified Council vessels, moved into formation. Humanity had done more than just prepare for war. They had created the means for redemption. The Hunger's prisoners were about to be freed. As the combined fleet powered up their weapons, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. The Council races had moved past their pride, learning to work alongside the humans they'd once dismissed. The predecessor's technology had been not just restored, but evolved. And now, they were about to attempt something none had thought possible, reaching into the void itself to save a civilization lost 50,000 years ago. The quantum burst would change everything. But first, they had to survive long enough to fire it. The Hunger's next attack was its most ferocious yet, as if it knew what they were planning. The final phase of the war was about to begin. And this time, it wasn't just about survival, it was about salvation. The combined fleet hung in formation around the writhing mass of the Hunger, every ship's quantum systems synchronized through human-modified predecessor tech. What had started as 16 restored vessels had grown into a force of over 400 ships. Council technology merged with ancient power. Sarah Chen stood on Phoenix One's bridge, her neural interface humming with data from across the fleet. All vessels report ready, she announced. Quantum containment fields at maximum. The signatures in the Hunger's core are getting stronger, Maya reported from engineering. The predecessors, they're fighting from inside. They know what we're trying to do. The Hunger seemed to sense its prisoners' resistance. Its mass churned with increasing violence, tendrils of void dark energy lashing out at the fleet's containment field. But the combined shields held, humanity's improvements proving their worth. Council vessels, maintain your positions, Sarah broadcasted. Remember your training. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. Through the quantum network, she felt the acknowledgement from hundreds of crews. Species that had once looked down on humanity now followed their lead without hesitation. The past months had taught them all that survival required more than pride. Energy buildup detected in the Hunger's core, Tactical reported. It's trying to initiate another molecular breakdown pulse. Not this time. Sarah's hands moved across the hybrid controls. All ships, begin quantum resonance sequence. Maya, initiate the burst. The engineer's voice was tense with concentration. Calculating final coordinates. The predecessor's quantum signatures are giving us targeting data. They're helping us aim. The fleet's weapons powered up in perfect synchronization, predecessor technology enhanced by human innovation and council refinements. Each ship contributed to a single, massive quantum burst designed to shatter the Hunger's containment field from within. 3 seconds to firing sequence. Maya counted down. 2, 1. Reality itself seemed to bend as hundreds of quantum beams converged on precisely calculated points within the Hunger's mass. The void dark entity convulsed, its surface rippling with conflicting energies. And then, something remarkable happened. Points of light began to appear within the darkness, like stars being born. Each one represented a predecessor consciousness breaking free from its 50,000-year prison. The quantum burst wasn't destroying the Hunger. It was unraveling it, releasing everything it had consumed. Multiple signatures detected, sensors reported with increasing excitement. Predecessor energy patterns are reforming into coherent states. Through the quantum network, Sarah felt a new presence. The freed predecessors were connecting with the fleet's systems, their ancient knowledge merging with modern understanding. Their message flowed through the network in waves of pure thought. "You have done what we could not," they communicated. "You saw value in our failure. You learned from our mistakes. You improved upon our work. And most importantly, you united others to achieve what none could do alone." The Hunger's mass was collapsing in on itself, its prisoners turning their accumulated knowledge against their captor. 50,000 years of absorbed information became a weapon, guided by human strategy and council precision. "All ships, full power to containment fields," Sarah ordered. "Don't let any of it escape. The predecessors are turning its own absorption mechanism against it." The battle's final moments were a symphony of coordinated action. The combined fleet moved as one, human intuition guiding council technology and predecessor power. The Hunger, its prisoners freed and its structure compromised, began to implode. In a final burst of quantum energy, the entity that had terrorized galaxies collapsed into a singularity, contained by the fleet's combined shields. What had once been a force of pure destruction was reduced to a contained point of light, harmless and trapped. Cheers erupted across all frequencies as the fleet's crews celebrated. But Sarah's attention was on the newly freed predecessors, their energy patterns stabilizing into coherent forms that could interact with the ship's systems. "You have done more than save us," they communicated. "You have shown that evolution comes not from conquest, but from cooperation. The council races learned from humanity, just as humanity learned from our remains. Together, you achieved what none could do separately." Supreme Counselor Vexter's transmission cut through the celebration. "Captain Chen, the Council awaits your report and your recommendations for the future." Sarah smiled, feeling the quantum network pulse with shared purpose. "Tell them that the real work is just beginning. We have predecessor knowledge to integrate, hybrid technologies to perfect, and a galaxy to rebuild. Together, the fleet began its return journey. But it was no longer just a military force. It had become a symbol of what different species could achieve when they put aside pride and worked as one. The restored ships, once dismissed as ancient ruins, had become the foundation of a new era. Humanity had done more than save the galaxy. They had shown that true strength comes not from dominance, but from the ability to learn, adapt, and cooperate. The hunger was gone, and in its place, something new was being born. A future where the wisdom of the past, the innovation of the present, and the promise of tomorrow could work as one. All it had taken was humans being human, curious, adaptable, and unwilling to ignore history's warnings. The silent fleet was silent no more, and the galaxy would never be the same.